Have you ever just stopped and thought about your own arm? I mean, really thought about it. From throwing a baseball to typing on a keyboard, it is an absolute masterpiece of engineering. So today, we're going to dive deep and explore this incredible biological machine we call the upper limb. So here's our game plan. We're going to start with the big picture, what the arm is really for. Then we'll see how it's built for an amazing amount of freedom. We'll look at the mechanics, the levers and pulleys, then get to the star of the show, the hand. And finally, we'll touch on what happens when this intricate system gets injured.
All right, first things first, what is the arm's main job? Well, it all comes down to one key concept, prehension. That's just a fancy word for the ability to grasp, hold, and manipulate things. This is what lets us interact with our world in such amazingly complex ways. And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? Our brains can dream up all sorts of incredible tools, but it's the dexterity of our hands that actually lets us build them, use them, and fundamentally shape the world around us. So that's the big question, right? Our arms and legs, they start from a pretty similar biological blueprint, but they end up doing wildly different things. And to figure out why, we've got to start right at the top, with the shoulder. The whole arm is basically hanging off your body from this structure called the shoulder girdle, and its design has one main priority that trumps everything else: freedom, maximum freedom of movement. And you can see that design principle right here. Just look at the size difference. You've got this huge round head of the humerus, the arm bone, and it sits in this tiny, shallow little socket on the shoulder blade. It's basically a golf ball sitting on a golf tee. It can move everywhere, but it's not very stable on its own. And this really shows the fundamental trade-off that evolution made. Our legs are built like pillars, all about stability, carrying our weight. But the upper limb, it completely sacrifices that stability for an incredible range of motion. It's all about getting your hand wherever it needs to go. And the linchpin of this whole system is the clavicle, your collarbone. Think about it. This one thin little bone is the only bony connection between your entire arm and the rest of your skeleton. And because it's so delicate and takes on so much stress, it also happens to be the most frequently broken bone in the body. That's the price we pay for all that mobility. Okay, so let's move down from that flexible anchor and get into the arm itself. The way our arm and forearm are set up is a really cool story, and it actually starts before we're even born. See, when we're tiny embryos, our arm and leg buds look pretty much the same, kind of like little flippers. But then something amazing happens. They start to rotate, and they rotate in opposite directions, which sets them up for their completely different jobs for the rest of our lives. This is just wild. The upper limb rotates 90 degrees outward, which is why our thumbs point out and our elbows bend backward. The lower limb does the exact opposite. It rotates 90 degrees inward. That's why our big toes point in and our knees bend forward. That simple opposing twist in the womb is the entire reason your elbows and knees bend in opposite directions. And that early rotation sets up the forearm perfectly. We have two bones there, the radius and the ulna, and they're designed to cross over each other. This is what allows for supination and pronation, or, to put it simply, the ability to turn your palm up to ask for something and then turn it toward you. Anatomically, that's the exact movement you use to bring food to your mouth. And look, everything we've talked about so far, the supermobile shoulder, the rotating forearm, it's all just the support act. It has one ultimate purpose: to position the hand. And the hand, well, it's the real masterpiece. It's capable of both brute strength and the most delicate, precise movements. The complexity begins right at the wrist. It's not just a simple hinge. It's actually made of 8 small, weirdly shaped bones, all packed together in 2 neat rows. Now, trying to memorize all those names, yeah, it can feel impossible. But luckily for us, there's a classic mnemonic that anatomy students have used for generations. Starting from the thumb side on the top row, it goes, "She looks too pretty." Then the bottom row, "Try to catch her." And just like that, you've got scaphoid, lunate, triquetral, pisiform, trapezium, trapezoid, capitate, and hamate. See? Not so bad. But among all those intricate bones, one digit is the absolute superstar, the thumb. It's just built different. It's shorter, stronger, it's rotated 90 degrees compared to the other fingers, and it has this amazing saddle-shaped joint at its base. All of that unique design is what gives us our defining feature, the opposable thumb. So, just how important is that thumb? Get this,
Functionally, it's worth 50% of your entire hand's ability. The power to touch the tip of your thumb to your other fingers is what gives us precision. Losing a thumb is considered just as disabling as losing all 4 of your other fingers combined. That's incredible! Of course, with a system this complex and this mobile, things can and definitely do go wrong. But understanding the anatomy really helps us understand some of the most common injuries.
You know, falling on an outstretched hand is incredibly common. It often leads to a wrist fracture. And depending on how the bone breaks, it gets a different name. If that broken piece of the radius gets pushed backward, it's called a Colles fracture, and it can make the wrist look like a dinner fork. If it gets pushed forward, we call it a Smith's fracture. But injuries aren't always about the bones. The nerves are vital too. Erb's palsy is an injury to this big bundle of nerves that controls the whole arm. It often happens during a difficult birth, when a baby's head and shoulder get stretched too far apart, damaging those delicate nerves. That damage to the C5 and C6 nerve roots creates a very specific, very classic posture. It's often called the policeman's tip hand. The arm just hangs by the person's side, rotated inward, with the palm facing backward, almost as if they were discreetly waiting for a tip. It's a textbook clinical sign. So, as we've seen, it's all connected. Every single part of the upper limb, from the wobbly shoulder joint down to the tiny bones in the fingertips, works together. It is one beautifully coordinated system designed from the ground up for interacting with the world.
It's so easy to take this all for granted, isn't it? But from that delicate balancing act in the shoulder to the clever rotation in the forearm, and that masterpiece of evolution that is the thumb, our upper limb is just a true marvel. So the next time you pick up a cup of coffee or wave to a friend, maybe you'll just take a second to appreciate the incredible biological machine that's making it all happen.